everyone, great to be here with you today, and thank you for having me. Today, we are going to talk about automation and why it is especially relevant for hyper casual gaming apps. Our session will be broken down in two major parts. Being a mobile measurement company, we of course could not bring you some benchmarking numbers for hyper-casual gaming apps. We are going to see how this vertical grew over the period of this pandemic and what are the new patterns that we can observe that need some love and attention. In second part, we are going to talk about automation, its benefits, and its types. This session will be heavily loaded with information, so grab your coffee and notepad and let's get started. My name is Ekaterina and I'm a product marketing manager at Adjust. What is Adjust? Adjust is a global software as a service company. We have offices in over 12 different countries. We employ over 600 people. We are the leader in mobile attribution and measurement, fraud detection, and prevention. We currently measure 42% of global app installs across more than 50,000 different apps and tracking over 1 billion daily active users and over 600 billion data points monthly, which, to give you some context and perception, is more than what Google search does. Your goal as a marketer is to grow your app. You need accurate data and time-saving tools to connect the dots between ad campaign and app growth. And Adjust was built with these challenges and goals in mind. Adjust is the analytics platform marketers trust to drive growth. Diving just a little bit deeper into what Adjust does for its customers, we help mobile marketers to be more effective with their marketing. Make smarter decisions by utilizing our tools that connect the dots between campaigns and their results and leverage that data to make smarter acquisition strategies. We help you also to make your day-to-day easier by streamlining time-consuming analytics tasks. And we also help you to earn your customers' loyalty and trust with our data privacy best practices and best-in-class data protection. Over 60,000 clients and partners rely on Adjust, and gaming apps, including hyper-casuals, are among our biggest customers. So let's start with some numbers. Let's see how in the last few years the vertical of hyper-casual gaming apps grew and what does it mean for marketers. Mobile gaming accounts for 41% of total global games market worth $196 billion. And this growth was powered by hyper-casuals, a game type that exploded since it broke into the scene in 2017. Our CEO Paul said that hyper-casuals have permanently changed the app marketing playbook, and automation is the driving force behind their rise, unlocking the ability to get instant answers to the marketer's most vital question: what works and what doesn't? And we can review exactly why this question is so very relevant. So let's get started with some user acquisition trends. Understanding the true cost of user acquisition is a challenge many marketers face, as there are only a few insights you can get beyond your own data. The cost of acquisition, of course, varies depending on the country and region. Take, for example, US. While CPIs decreased by 35% for the given period, US users still coming in with a price tag that is more than double the cost to acquire a user in EMEA. A user in the US would come at a price tag of $0.42 on average, while in EMEA that user would come at a price tag of $0.19. Globally, the average cost to acquire a user hovers at $0.17 throughout the previous year. This price could be attributed to the impact of a much lower CPIs in Latin America, especially countries such as Brazil and Mexico, where large and eager user bases can't get enough of the hyper-casual games. Knowing the typical number of installs from 1,000 of impression gives marketers a strong baseline to make right decisions. IPM is a metric that represents the number of installs per 1,000 ad impressions. As we can see on this chart, this metric shows significant growth across all regions. While CPIs for the US market were pricey by comparison to other regions, it's clearly home to highly engaged users. On average, 30 users out of 1,000 download the game after seeing an ad, compared with 27 users in EMEA. Globally, the average IMP rate shows that 26 users out of 1,000 install the game after viewing an ad. This total increased 18.2% to 31 users in Q1 of 2020, indicating a trend where more users are eager to not only interact with ads, but also act based on advertising. Speaking of an ad effectiveness, it's the highest in APAC. But it appears that users are more apt to interact with ads rather than install a game as a result. With the highest TR of 24%, it's clear that users are paying attention to ads and maybe even rely on advertising to discover new games. But their actions tell a different story, as the actual install rate, 13% in this case, is on the low end of the scale. Meanwhile, US users are not great fans of advertising, but they are quick to download games when they do like the games. CTRs are at 18% for US, while install rates are at impressive 17%, 34% higher than an APAC. CTRs in EMEA are the lowest in the mix, coming in at 16%. This would suggest that users there are slightly more averse to advertising. However, audiences there install games at high rate, 17%, identical to the US. And before we move to post-install numbers and trends, let's see some user acquisition testing tips. So we know that hyper-casual gaming is built on A/B testing, but marketers new to this approach need to be wary of differences between testing and real-life performance, real-world performance. Great results are often a feature of testing, but the figures rarely match global campaigns. Testing usually involves limited budgets, where you can get really low price CPIs along with good install rates. But after a launch, budgets increase and performance usually drops. So be aware of that and test with larger budgets. So now, how long do users play games? A marketer knows that a game is only as good as its playtime. So, Adjust data shows a stark difference in app performance between hyper-casual and other types of games. Hyper-casual game sessions are shorter compared to all other games, but this is the player's behavior that this kind of games were designed to deliver. Short sessions on a daily basis are plenty for users to find enjoyment in. At 1.56 sessions per user per day, hyper-casual comes in 37% lower than the average for all games combined. They have 2.47 sessions per day per user on average. Session length for hyper-casuals is also lower at 2 minutes 39 seconds per user per day compared to nearly 20 minutes per session per user per day for other games. This is a striking difference, of course. Significantly, data around game stickiness. Stickiness is a measurement that reflects the number of daily active users against monthly active users, tells a very different story. Hyper-casual games have a stickiness score of just 11%, more than twice as low, twice lower the stickiness of all other games combined. But once again, this is the goal hyper-casual games set out to achieve in the first place. So after the users churn, the next best goal, next priority becomes to move these lapsed users to the new game in the portfolio. Session length is highly important for hyper-casual apps. According to Yuri Bolotkin, he is a growth specialist at Popcore, which is a Berlin-based hyper-casual publisher. A progression mechanic dramatically improves the number of times people log into a game and also extend the time users spend in-game. The longer users stay in-game, the more ads they watch, and this is a direct connection to increased revenues. To encourage users to play longer, hyper-casuals need to develop more engaging mechanics for both new and old, but still popular titles. So, do ads impact retention rates? Retention rates are one of the better metrics to understand if users are sticking around. Interestingly, for both hyper-casual games and mid-core titles, a day one retention rate is around 30%. It's 30.4% for hyper-casuals and 31.7% for mid-core titles. Mid-core gamers, drawn in by challenging game mechanics, naturally are more engaged with their favorite games for a little bit longer. Retention rates decline faster for hyper-casual games than for mid-core. By day 7, hyper-casual games retain only 8.7% of users compared to mid-core at 13.7%, showing a 37% difference. However, this gap shrinks by day 30 when both apps retain 1% or less of their user base. The very nature of hyper-casual is tied to high retention rates. The number of ads you show per minute can have a massive impact on retention rates. However, more is not always better. So, while users appreciate advertising and understand its benefits, namely free gameplay and perks in return for their undivided attention, retention rates do show a decline if too many ads are packed in one session. So, specifically, the more ads shown per session per minute, the more likely a user is to churn. In this chart, we can see that showing under 2.5 ads per session results in a user retention of 40 to 50%, and showing more than 4 ads per session negatively impacts user retention, driving the rate down to less than 20%. So this is very important data right here. And the key question I guess we can draw from here is, so what's the optimum number of ads a hyper casual would show or should show? As we just mentioned, retention rates decline as the number of ads shown increases. However, the business model of hyper-casual game is designed to attract large audience and keep them amused with simple gameplay for a short period of time. And during this time, hyper-casuals make their money by showing as many ads as possible to as many users as they can reach. But how many ads to show and how to avoid leaving money on the table? The chart below, the chart here gives guidance on both, revealing the revenue an app generates in a month versus the number of ads shown per minute, highlighting the overall distribution of monthly revenue for ads shown. So we can see on this chart that hyper-casual games that show more than 4 ads or more per minute generate only moderate revenues, by comparison hitting a ceiling at $35,000 per month. At the lower end of the scale, where hyper-casual games show fewer ads, revenues are significantly higher, and it seems like we have a sweet spot of 2 to 3 ads per minute. This total enables hyper-casual companies to boost their revenue by as much as 10%. However, ads are only as effective as the creatives that users see. As a rule, hyper-casual marketers need to combine lots of testing with the right infrastructure to find the best combination. CEO at Alictus says a good marketer should be able to find which creative platforms work best with the right campaign and channel, while updating their creatives in a continuous cycle at a fast pace. Without automating A/B testing, finding useful results isn't achievable. So automation becomes a key in this case. Zooming out from testing creatives, let's have a look at just campaigns. A single campaign looks fairly simple to manage and optimize. However, a campaign may have multiple ad sets And each ad set has multiple creatives, which bringing the point back have to be tested in order to figure out what works and what doesn't work. So this structure becomes a little bit tougher to manage and optimize right now. In addition to campaigns, sometimes we also work with multiple partners and therefore have multiple campaigns per partner. And finally, when you multiply all these factors across all of your partners and all of your campaigns, you'll be running into hundreds, if not thousands, of changes to manage on any single given day. Not only to optimize and manage, but also understand it and make strategic decisions when it comes to investment, pausing or continuing with certain creatives, maybe changing messaging, and so on. So here's an actual image of a marketer trying to juggle all this campaign and changes at once. Not to say that it is impossible. I am pretty sure many of you succeeding in doing so. However, this is unnecessarily difficult and of course not very efficient. Given the examples we just seen, it's no wonder that our clients spend 80% of their time managing data, basically just clicking all day. We believe that marketing and business intelligence teams spend far too long stitching data together to get the reports and insights they need to make effective decisions. Once you made sense of data, you need to then jump in and out of multiple platforms to actions those decisions, and there is little time for marketing teams to focus on strategic planning, optimization, and testing, or for BI teams to build predictive LTV models. All of this leads to missed insights, wasted ad spend, and ultimately slow decision and slower app growth. Marketing automation kills this complexity and also simplifies your process, leaving room for more strategic and creative decisions. Before I show you some of the case studies where our clients actually succeeded using automation solution to drive their app growth, I would like to talk a little bit about four types of automation. Understanding what can be optimized with automation is the first step. So overall, there are four types of automation: creative, budget, bidding, and targeting. You can mix them and match them together to create automated optimization rules or automated reporting. Let's see what it means and view each type in more detail. We start with creative automation, which enables you to deliver creatives that resonate with your key audience. Effective campaigns don't just drive clicks, they also leave a lasting impression, engaging and encouraging consumers to engage again and again. As more marketers rely on automation to crunch numbers nowadays, creatives become a source of competitive advantage and sometimes a deciding factor on whether a campaign flies or fails. Our goal is always to deliver the right ad for the right audience in the right time. I know it sounds very cliche, but that's truth. And the numbers of variations and variables needed to make this decision for each situation, for each channel and each campaign has gone beyond human capacity. This is where machine learning excels. Our second type of automation is budget automation. It helps marketers allocate budgets to campaigns and channels, allowing to meet their target KPIs with the highest efficiency. You can also start stop automation, and that for example, increase bids on high performing campaigns and stop poorly performing ones automatically. A little bit to my second point, what does it mean? With automation, you can get more sophisticated by setting up rules to understand what campaigns need your attention. For example, if a certain threshold is met, then increase or decrease the bid or budget by a certain amount. To be more specific, if my return on advertisement spend at day 7 is bigger than 10, then increase the bid by 9, or decrease it, or stop the campaign. So this really is it allows you to make strategic decisions and create the logic behind this kind of rules, but you don't have to spend time anymore to actually manually manage all of this. Our third automation type is bidding. Bidding automation system make an automatic call on whether to raise or lower bids based on conversion setup and defined CPA goal. It's the job of a marketer to decide how and what to feed the machine learning algorithm. These algorithms grow and learn over time and can even suggest target CPAs. And at last, we have targeting automation. Targeting automation is all about pulling data from different sources, generating new audiences, exporting segments, and advertising to your specific audience. All of these actions are performed automatically with the help of machine learning. Being able to connect all data points in one platform is a huge advantage. Granted, it's still early days, the full realization is years ahead, but you can be sure that targeting automation without explicit human intervention will transform marketing over the next 5 years. To stay ahead of the curve, I recommend marketers start doing the homework and investigate to identify the best data platforms for their business right away. And now I would like to just talk a little bit more about one of our clients, Karma Games, and how they use automation solution to drive growth for their app. Karma Games' goal is to create not only enjoyable games but also memorable and inspiring long-term players all over the world. So the challenge of Karma Games was is that they had to focus on optimizing for positive return on advertisement spend, increasing user acquisition spend that needs to be constantly optimized to ensure the right users are being acquired, and the company also needed all-in-one automated solution. So what their solution was, they aggregated all performance data, engagement, cost, revenue, retention, in-app events, and created custom reports. They changed bids and budgets in real time. And they set up ad spend optimization rules to be changed automatically in real time. This is the example that I've given you before. As a result, they had 67% decrease in time spent on campaign management, and they also doubled the Facebook ad spend by reducing manual input. They, as a result, had fully automated reporting and campaign management. Another case study I would like to talk about is Donuts. Donuts is focused on user-oriented products. The company gaming app division has released a number of successful games, including the long life title Tasha no Tora with over 3.6 million players. So their challenge is that they wanted to insource the operations and creative making process, which were left to the agencies before. However, they faced issues with their internal resources in the migration stage and struggle with optimization processes. So what have they done? They utilize report automation to check KPIs across multiple ad networks and apps. As a result, they reduce workload by 1 hour per person, and they had 1.8 times media effect for streamlined campaigns. Automation reduces complexity in your day-to-day, saves you time and money, but not only this, because it also allows for more personalized marketing. Personalization, in some sense, would only be possible with marketing automation. Marketers have multiple digital channels to communicate with their customers, but managing them is difficult. Personalization itself requires marketers to create more hyper-targeted segments, which of course means more campaigns to manage and then more creatives to test and manage. So the only way to pair creatives with segments is test a huge number of combinations. Automation is key to unlocking personalization of all communication at scale, which is especially important nowadays where there is just so much information noise and advertising blindness. I hope you enjoyed this session, and because we don't have a Q&A time allocated for this, you can shoot your questions to my email, and thank you so much for your attention. Have a wonderful day.